Hello all, A Knife's Tale here, bringing you another knife review. And today we are looking at the WE Knife Co. Ziffius. And unlike most WEs, it's not branded on the pivot, it is branded just right here on the pocket clip. Normally I'm not too fan of branding on the pocket clip, but I mean, that is pretty darn minimal. No one's going to know what that is unless they know what they're looking at. And the Ziffius here is a premium WE knife, as all WE knives are. They're not Civivi knives. That's their sub-brand, and Sencut, and that's their really budget brand. What we're looking at with this one is titanium, with this very nice anodized strap, yeah, okay. A carbon fiber wraparound, I guess it holds the frame together, it's a backspacer, it's kind of doing everything here. The blade steel is, as in true WE fashion, very small. 20 CV. This is also a limited run of 310. The WE Ziffius, I believe, won an award at one of the Blade shows when it first debuted back in, was that 2022? 2023? 2022, I think. And for good reason. My God, this thing is good. I'm just gonna start it out with that. If that's all you want to see, that's all you need to see, this is a good knife. Like and subscribe. Toss me a bone. That's all I care about now. Just kidding. But this is a cool knife and really well executed, and we will get into all of that in just a moment once we get the specs out of the way. The WE Ziffius has a 3 3/4 inch blade. Well, it's just a hair under 3 3/4 at the top here. Way down here, it is it's 3 5/8 here, 3 7/8 basically, like right down here. I don't know where you want to go to on that. It's basically 3 3/4, almost at the termination of the plunge grind, right about here, which is close, but not quite. So it's a larger blade. It's a full-size knife, most certainly. I won't put this in the large category. It goes over the 3.75, but it doesn't feel like a large knife. It feels like a solidly big knife, but not an extra large or something like that. The handle length is it's falling between 8 5/8 and 8 3/4 in total overall length. And the handle length is just a hair over 5 inches. Let me move crap out of my way, because I've got crap piled up on everything. Crap that I'll be using, mind you, but crap nonetheless. So that I can get our comparison knives out with our little comparison table. The Ziffius compared to the Civivi, also a brand of WE, Elementum, and also Civivi, the Conspirator. These are my standard size comparison knives, and as you can see, the Ziffius it feels pretty lean and lithe in the hand, but it's a big one. It's a big knife. Got lots of hand here. Lots of blade. Lots of room to choke up, and a lot of great position to do it in. Despite that, it's just on the edge. It's right in between what I would consider a large knife and a full-size knife. This being a full-size, this being maybe a large. Yes, close comparisons. As you can see, it's also a tall knife. It is got a lot of blades sticking out. It's definitely taller than the other two. Not by quite as much as you might think, but it is there. What it isn't is thick. That's about as thick as the Elementum, which is under 1/2 inch in thickness. Come on, move, there you go. Let's check how thick we're looking at. Yeah, under half an inch. That's pretty comparable with the Elementum. I think the Elementum might beat it. Yeah, the Elementum beats it out by a bit, but at its thickest, it's pretty thin. Blade stock. 125 thousandths on the dot. Behind the edge, and that I don't think is going to be very big. It's not going to be tiny, tiny. Nope, I'm slipping down the blade. Come on now. Get yourself in position. $15 thousandths behind the edge is about what I'm thinking that thing is. It's 14 thousandths behind the edge. It's pretty thin. Maybe even 13. It was wavering on 13.5. It's pretty thin behind the edge. It's got a nice drop to it. This thing is a slicing monster. It is a cutter. It is a utility cutter. It is just a cutting machine. It's pretty darn close to a laser beam. And I mean, a lot of WE knives have good geometry. That's one thing. That's one of the reasons I like them. Another reason I like them is because they don't put a lot of branding or any branding on their blades, other than these tiny little hidden bits. Tell me that that just is not more attractive than having a giant logo of something on your blade. It's just, I mean, let's see, what else do I have here? I don't really have anything with a giant logo in immediate reach, but it's just better looking. It is. This is clean. Sleek. Yes. So, this knife is on bearings, and it is a flipper tab and thumb stud, and I guess technically it is a button lock, but you can also use the button to open the knife if you're not under a camera. There we go. This is a button lock with a plunge lock, traditional plunge lock, but I've not had this thing even. That's a dog who thought someone was knocking at the door. I probably shouldn't have done that. He's not going to stop. It's okay, little guy. Hey, Oscar. That's enough out of you, sir. Yeah, well, he's going to be back there now. It's very solid. I've not had a problem with any of WE's button locks. They're probably doing the best button locks in the business as far as I'm concerned. And this is one of the best they've done. Okay, dog. Hey, that's enough now. Hold on one second. I'm having to reassure the dog that I'm going to be with him in just a moment, which I will. So let's wrap this. Let's get this moving, shall we? I say that and immediately stop. There's no play, and this knife is dead center. The stop pin up here, actually the stop pin closed position is the button, of course, and the stop pin in the open position is up here, nowhere near the plunge, which, I mean, it's actually pretty hard to tell on this one, but I think the plunge end's way back here. Is what I want to go with. Yeah, I think that's about where the plunge ground ends. I mean, that's nowhere near. You have a gigantic sharpening choil. You're fine. You'll be fine. Sharpening's not going to be a problem on this thing. The bevel's not particularly large. You're going to have more than enough life if you're going to use this thing. The finish, as you can see, is a pretty darn attractive hand satin. WE does a good job there. There's hand satins are a little bit more fingerprinty than some. I have had a few that were really not fingerprinty, if that's a word. But I'll be darned if they don't look good. And of course the vertical belt satin on the flats. Ergos. Ergos are wonderful. This clip, yeah, you can feel it, but I mean, this is pretty neutral. It's a big handle. You got more than enough room to go around in. The clip is super flat. It's basically just a slightly curved popsicle stick. Continuous rise. Good tension. Good retention, I should say. Easy in and out of the pocket, in my experience. Great in the handle. Great up here. Wonderful in the choked up position. You got this, and this jimping is really nice. It's actually, I don't normally always love this kind of larger jimping, especially when they leave it a little sharp, but this one, I don't know. It's sharp, but it's not unpleasant in the slightest bit. It just provides wonderful traction. I mean, the pinch grip is also a thing for this knife. It's not terrible. I mean, you're basically just completely up on the knife edge, depending on where you go for it. I guess you could go down here even and be back a bit. Even further back here, back for some sort of weird pinch grip thing. You can do it. You have a lot of room. It's not the most perfect pinch grip knife ever, but I mean, you can do it from all kinds of positions, and it works just fine. Benefit of the Wharncliffe style blade is that, and with the Giant Choil, is that it offers a lot of freedom, even if it doesn't necessarily offer the curving sort of draw slice. It does offer a great push, great pull cuts, great and easy tip access, and it's just super utilitarian. As I said, the clip is just wonderful. It doesn't move. It's only got one thing on it, one screw holding it in, but it seems to be inset. So unfortunately, you cannot flip this. And I think that's maybe arguably the biggest weakness that I don't give a crap about, is that it's not left-hand friendly. I'm not left-handed friendly. I'm not left-hand friendly. I'm not left-handed, so that doesn't bother me one bit. It would be nice to see, but at the same time, this is such a clean presentation. Do you really want something there? Maybe if they made a second go around of these and made a left-handed version that they did in a small number, that would be kind of cool. Maybe they could even flip the... Ooh, that would be something though I haven't seen done. Flipping the button lock to this side for the left-handed version. That would be cool. I like that. Probably not going to happen, but sorry, lefties. The pivot collar. The pivot is really nicely milled, I should say. And the pivot collar is lightning anode. I'm not super fond of WE using lightning anode on as much as they have been using it on. But when it's just like the pivot collar, I'm not complaining. It's just this tiny little thing. Would I have preferred the pivot collar just to be the same electric blue? Yes. But I'm not complaining. Some of the knives they've been doing the electric anode, it's like the whole clip, a whole inlay or something like that. It's too much for me. Or the plasma, lightning, whatever you want to call it, anode. Now, before we get into value and my overall thoughts on this knife, I just want to mention that this knife has a detent unlike anything you've ever felt on a button lock knife. It has a detent. It's not coming out when you shake it, and it's, listen, just listen. Hear that click? Yeah. That is the click open, and there's another click right up before it for breaking the detent. You can kind of... This thing has a legitimate detent on it. I can't call it anything else. It is a legitimate detent, and it feels wonderful. It is what further supports my thinking that WE is probably the best button lock, execution-wise. So... this is a wonderful knife. I haven't carried this knife a ton. I want to keep this thing pristine. These are still available despite being a limited edition. There's only like 1 or 2 variants of them out there you'll probably find. One has a full lightning anode titanium backspacer. I didn't do weight of this knife because I'm an idiot. Weight of this knife is 4 ounces, so it's almost perfect blade to handle ratios. I mean, blade to weight ratio is pretty darn close. I mean, 3.75 to 3, almost 4 inches. So the weight is great. It's not heavy. The titanium, the one with the titanium backspacer instead of the carbon fiber, will be heavier. And that's... I know there are some of those out there. I think, and I will try to find multiple, the only versions I can, to try and link them down below, wherever they may be linked to. I think there is this version with a partially black blade that's still got the flats that are satin, but the blade is like black washed. I think those might be the only two versions still floating around. But this is a wonderful knife. This is something like a $350 knife. It's expensive, but this knife feels extra. It feels like it earns being above WE's standard, sort of like $250, $275 for their very plain knives. Even some of their plain knives can even be down in like the $230s range, which is great. This is not that. This is definitely a step above. This is even an execution above, even for WE. This is good. This is really good. So it's a premium knife. It's not going to be for everybody, but it's a great one. And that's my total and utter final thought of my own knife. I'm very happy with this knife. I like the WE Ziffius. Hopefully you do too. As I said before, like and subscribe if you want. Thoughts and comments down below. Do you want to see this knife make a return? Maybe some other variants of this knife? Maybe something a little bit... well, no, they are floating around, but I guess the versions that are floating around aren't the super popular versions. Because most of those seem to sell pretty quickly. Like this more base version of it, this did not last that long. So it'd be nice if they brought them back, even though there are still a few that are out there. It's a good one. Hopefully this was a decent video for you guys. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.